is Wednesday. It is the go-home week. It is the most exciting pay-per-view of the entire year. It's the SmackDown solo-branded pay-per-view just before WrestleMania that's had sort of some build-up. I'm excited. We're all really excited. It's Fastlane. Oh, it's so good. I can't wait. I'm Spoon, Dr. Spoon. I'm a doctor today. I am joined, as always, by the other 5 women to my one-woman segment on the opening of a SmackDown. Vintage Benjamin Shelley. Vintage, how you doing?
Yes, I'm very good, thank you. Point of order. Shout out to Paul and Paul's cat.
Hi, Paul. Hi, Paul's cat.
And I just want to say, Spoon, I am the debilitating permanent retirement neck injury to your page.
Oh my goodness! Wow, that was cold. Well, then in that case, I am the debilitating neck injury to my other guest, who is the Sheamus to our debilitating neck injury. In that, despite it, he's still here.
Oh yeah.
Back from his travels, Ross Harmston. How you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm good. Very, very good.
It's been an exciting week of wrestling.
Oh, yeah.
My goodness, it's been so crazy. Let's not dwell on the results of the last pay-per-view. We talked about those last week, so we don't need to go over those again, talk about who won the last one. That's not important. The important thing is that...
Yeah, but who did win, though? I just...
Can't remember.
It was
so long ago.
I think wrestling fandom won.
The Raw Writers definitely didn't win.
No, God no. Well, no. Congratulations, Ross. Clean sweep. Got every single match correct.
Oh yeah.
See if you can repeat that this week. But before that, there, of course, will be a few regular segments. I'm sure Vintage will jump in at any point if there is time for one. Should we talk about Raw first of all?
No, on this day, obviously. You always on this day first.
I know, but you normally like to interrupt, so I thought, let's fit.
To be fair, go on.
I was going to say, you should do a thing like... Vicky Guerrero just saying, "Excuse me."
Oh yeah. God!
Maybe not.
We're
point of order.
Slick podcast, folks. So on this day in wrestling, Vintage, what have you got for us?
To be fair, this is like my second favourite segment on the entire show.
Is the first one your quiz?
No, it's a shout out to Paul and Paul's cat. Right. It's a shame, really, because it's a bit of a disappointing day today, apparently, so maybe we should have recorded on a different day. Really struggled to find some good stuff. So, going back to 2007, OVW, considering we were talking about that last week, I thought it was quite nice to talk about that. They had 5 matches, which were dark matches, and 4 recorded matches on TV on this night. And I'm struggling to recognise any of these names, but it could be that a few of them wrestled under other names. So a few people on here that you probably might not know. Roadkill.
Oh, yep. Oh, as in
the Amish chicken plucker.
The ECW Roadkill. Awesome.
Yeah, as Tony Braddock, apparently. He was on it. Vito. Do you remember Vito?
Vito.
He's just Vito. He wore a dress and he was like an Italian mafia guy.
Yeah, I do sort of remember
so, yeah.
Vito.
Well, the thing is, he's now on Vince Russo's podcast. That's why I remember him now, because he turned up on that, and I was like, who is this guy? And then I looked at it, I was like, oh, yeah, I remember him now. Right. Yeah. So, more interestingly, Vladimir Kozlov was on this.
How long ago?
2007.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense, I guess.
But more importantly, Beth Phoenix was on this show.
Hey!
Ah, nice.
And she defeated, in singles action, Maurice.
Of course. I didn't realise Maurice had been wrestling that long.
Well, it doesn't show that when she gets in the ring, does it, that she's got this experience.
Fair.
And Cody Rhodes, under the ring name Cody Runnels, was on this show.
That came up in one of our ring name quizzes once, didn't it?
I think it probably... No,
I know it was Dustin. That was it.
Yeah.
And then the OVW heavyweight champion Paul Burchill.
Paul Burchill. Yeah, I remember Paul
I've
Burchill.
heard of him, yeah.
Yeah, he's pirate when Pirates of the Caribbean were really big.
Nice.
He defeated Little Guido to retain the title.
Little Guido. Fantastic.
Right, fast forward to 2012, and we're now into NXT. And what was quite weird, so 4 matches. Match 1, Maxine versus Tamina Snuka.
Wow, Maxine.
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
She
No, I
left.
don't remember
She
that either.
left shortly after her main roster call-up. She left.
Oh, right, okay.
Okay.
But it's funny that Tamina Snuka's was on NXT back in 2012 and has literally done nothing on the main roster.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
great. Do you remember when she came up and she was part of the Usos?
Yes.
No.
Yeah, she was like the Lita to their Hardy Boys, but not in a thong, or doing moonsaults, obviously.
Thank goodness. Yoshi Tatsu versus our friend of the show, Johnny Curtis.
I liked Yoshi Tatsu. I only seen him in a few matches, but I thought he had something.
He left shortly after his main roster
Yeah, he
call-up, I think.
never went anywhere.
But Johnny Curtis, Fandango.
Nice.
Nice.
Match 3, Jey Uso with Jimmy Uso defeated Darren Young. Oh, no, Darren Young defeated Jey Uso.
Oh, what?
Darren Young, though.
Millions of dollars.
Was that before the make? Is it make Darren Young great again?
Yeah, that would have been before Primetime Players, 2007. I wouldn't have. Who would have thought of the 2 Primetime Players that Titus O'Neil would be the one who was still to be fair, still in exactly the same role.
Speaking of which, Titus O'Neil was the main event against Percy Watson.
Well, there you go. I guess that kind of Percy Watson. Of course, he must have been wrestling around then. He's one of the NXT. He's the 3rd NXT commentator now with McGuinness and Myro. He is the most improved commentator, I think, of the last year or so.
But he left shortly after his main roster call-up as well, from what I can tell.
Yeah, I don't know.
Didn't even get called up.
He pretty much no, he never went to main roster.
No.
I don't know if he quit because of injury or because they just decided to move him to commentary. He was someone like Corey who never went up to main roster. He just moved straight from NXT to commentary.
So you got like a third of this card, maybe like just under half of this card, who never made it on the main roster.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that just shows how NXT's changed from then to now, where they're doing, because we do criticize a lot, saying that they really buried the talent that comes out of NXT, but they actually do seem to. Well, at least they stay and they actually do a bit on the main roster before they go.
Yeah, I think so.
Right, finishing off 2014. This is more of a story than a match or a show. Essentially, there was a WWE event in Winnipeg, in Canada, I guess, in Winnipeg, Canada.
Yep.
And so this show was known for the fact that Batista had a run-in with a local DJ.
Nice. Not like a ring run-in, like a
well.
Okay.
This local radio show was sponsoring the events that WWE were putting on,
right.
And apparently Batista walked up to him in the crowd and from ringside and was basically giving him some mouth. And as he's turned, this DJ's got up and smacked him in the back.
Really?
At which point Batista's turned around and shoved him back into his seat, got in the ring and wrestled a match with the Big Show. Apparently security spoke to this DJ and said, like, calm down or whatever. Then Batista, halfway through the match, was walking around the ring and then flipped him off, at which point apparently this DJ lost it, tried to climb the rail and then had to get kicked out by security.
Oh my God.
That is definitely someone that I wouldn't fight. But Batista, definitely not.
Yeah, very strange.
If you had to make a list of WWE superstars you would fight, I mean, it would be none of them.
No, I wouldn't mind wrestling Bailey, and Carmella. I wouldn't mind.
Only if there's a pole, only if there's a kendo stick in the mate.
No.
You can
It
keep
had to
away
be
from it.
no submissions only with Carmella.
Oh, God. Making me edit this thing again. So, that was it for On This Day.
Yeah, I think I'm done.
Yeah, I like the Ohio bit. That's nice. That's some good stuff. So, Raw happened. SmackDown happened. Raw was interesting. We had the Paul Heyman promo. Really, really good. I mean, Heyman promos are always good, but he's making Roman look good in them now. Interestingly, he started on the... because Brock has been doing live events.
So it's all a work then?
Oh, yeah, completely. This thing about he might not come to WrestleMania is completely a work.
Yeah.
He is apparently just about out of contract, but I don't see any... he wouldn't have the belt on him if he wasn't going to do it. Heyman and Brock are powerful in terms of politics, but not that powerful. He's going to do the match. Interestingly, in the house shows that Brock's done, he's been killing Kane in 30 seconds. That's the match that they've been sort of touring around as they do the intros, and you just flattened him. But Heyman's been introducing Brock as fighting out of the Ultimate Corner, so they're really playing up on this UFC thing.
Yeah.
That is how they're going to try and get him booed, which, I mean,
won't work.
No, it won't work. Not with Roman. If they wanted to get him booed, they should have put some thought into that before they put him in a program, before they did all the stuff with him towards the end of the year, where they've basically booked him as a face.
Yeah.
He's been mad. He was high-fiving kids the last time he was out. He's a full baby face.
Yeah.
So I don't really know how it's going to go down. Interestingly, Roman was on a podcast last week talking about the first Mania match with Brock, with the cash-in with Seth, and how it's his proudest match, and sort of talking through the thinking of it. And not the first person to say that apparently Brock Lesnar is not an easy man to work with. Obviously, Ambrose said similar things when he had to have a Mania match. But yeah, he said basically Brock wants to go in, do tackle, shoulder blocks, bunch of suplexes, maybe he'll sell a bit, and then an F5. That's why it was such a massive thing that he went out of his way to have this great match with AJ Styles. As said, Brock is not interested in discussing your ideas for a match. He wants to do that kind of thing. So there are a few bits where Roman shot on him a couple of times during the match just to get him angry and get him to do other things. And apparently Roman had a broken rib afterwards.
Look at Braun Strowman after
oh my God,
after his match. He got lamped right in the side of their head.
That was his fault though, because he
It's like, you're not going to make that mistake again.
that's what we call a receipt.
Nice. Yeah. You ever given anyone a receipt, Vintage?
No, but there's one match I can think of where I should have given a receipt.
Still time. Watch your back, bin man.
It's not going to be him, is it?
I know it's not. He's my favourite feud of yours.
Just on that point, no, in fact, no, I'll save it for next show. There is some exciting news coming up for Vintage.
Are we getting Vintage Bitman 3?
There's always that possibility. We'll save that for an anniversary show. We'll save it for the Milton Keynes version of WrestleMania, I think.
Vintage Mania.
Vintage Mania.
Oh,
Ronda
Rousey. What do you think about the Ronda Rousey segment? You said a really interesting thing about this. The Tommy Dreamer tweet about it.
Oh yeah, you'll have to remind me what that is. But the point I was going to make is, I'll say quickly. I've been listening to Vince Russo's podcast, but one interesting thing that came out of that is that obviously last week Raw had the first 2 hours of pretty good ratings, and then the third hour, where Ronda finally turned up in the last segment, the ratings were bombed because people didn't want to wait that long to see her. So they've completely flipped it around this week, and she's at the start, and they have the same problem that good ratings in the first and second hour and just bombed in the third hour. So no matter where you put Ronda, it's not helping the ratings at all. Yeah. Likewise, there was no build last week before we got to Ronda. We didn't know when she was coming out, and there was just no hype, and there was no here she is, turn up in the limo type thing that we used to have. And then conversely, this week we had the segment at the start, and then nothing was explained afterwards. Like nothing about Steph was explained afterwards. We didn't have Steph in the neck brace or anything.
Yeah,
it baffles me that Raw is still 3 hours. I think given that they seem to have twigged this idea that people are watching content differently, people want to watch clips, people want to watch short things. You know, they've got a really good YouTube show now. The network's always doing little clip segments for you to watch stuff. The fact that they're still doing this beast of a weekly show that is clearly no one is watching the entire thing. Everyone is turning off after 2 hours.
But then people aren't watching the Mixed Match Challenge either, which is a perfect example of what you think people would watch. No. But then maybe you're right. Maybe it's just oversaturation, and it would work in a reduced format.
I tell you who is watching the Mixed Match Challenge. This guy. I've gotten really into the Mixed Match Challenge. It's really funny because it exists in this sort of weird like pseudo world,
kayfabe, isn't it?
Yeah, where it's like it's sort of canon, but also
it's like Total Divas, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit. So it's like there's this whole running will they won't they thing between Alexa Bliss and Braun Strowman, which is obviously not in, like, she's getting knocked off the ring and he's catching her, and there's all this stuff how Braun's not really sure what to do with the lady and she's so small, and it's just really funny. And the fact that Asuka and Miz are in a team and Miz is a bit scared of Asuka and doesn't understand her, it's just...
So Ronda Rousey,
all right.
Samoan drop.
Samoan drop looks,
which is pretty much a transitional move for a lot of wrestlers on the roster at the moment already.
That's her finisher, maybe. Sorry, Nia Jax and
and the Usos.
I think
and
Tamina.
Roman,
Tamina, basically every Samoan on the roster, and like Ronda's not Samoan at all, from what I know of her.
But
I'm wondering if it's like the only power move that she's learned.
It's an easy power move, isn't it?
Yeah. I always feel weird watching Kurt as well, starting to do wrestling. When he gets in it just feels really awkward. I don't know why, but you just feel like, oh, it looks a bit...
It's weird because, I mean, obviously his neck does not work like a normal human's neck anymore. That's had a lot of damage. But he was wrestling regularly on the indies up until a year ago, pretty much exactly a year ago when he appeared at Mania and has been on WWE since then. But he was a regular worker to that time and was in ring shape the whole time. So I reckon...
Well, I saw him at Milton Keynes not so long ago, like 18 months ago.
How did he look then?
Old.
Yeah?
Yeah, Alberto had to carry him a lot.
Okay. But I reckon for the kind of match, it's not going to be a classic.
No.
If you're going to have Hunter and Angle in the ring. But it doesn't necessarily need to be. And really, Ronda is the star anyway.
Don't be surprised if Hunter and Steph go over, by the way.
Yeah, I could see that. To keep it running and to keep doing,
until next WrestleMania.
Oh, God.
Oh, God.
Twice in a lifetime. But the bit we were talking about, Tommy Dreamer sent Ronda Rousey a tweet about her Samoan drop, like highlighting that she had her arm wrong in a bit, had her arm placed wrong, trapped. So if over time, if she's doing the move like that, she's going to gradually wear down her shoulder. But because it was Tommy Dreamer, it wasn't in like a slagging off way or a pointing out that she's crap way, or it wasn't negative thing at all. It was literally, I'm worried you're going to hurt yourself, and then just tagged a few people on the current roster who do good Samoan drops, like Usos and Roman. Just been like, go and talk to these guys, they'll sort you out. Like, really helpful, because Tommy Dreamer's the nicest man in wrestling. But I think it was a nice segment. I liked the bit where Kurt had the ankle lock on Hunter and had him like grapevined, like properly locked in, and Steph managed to pull him out of the ring, pulling sort of 500 pounds worth of wrestler between the two of them, just pulled them both out the ring because Steph is strong. She's got man strength.
Well, that's the thing. She needs to be strong enough to take on Ronda, doesn't she?
Yeah, they're gonna have to. That's going to be the hardest part. I think is trying to sell this idea that Steph is in any way a threat to Ronda Rousey. That's where I think it could all fall down, depending on how well they do that.
And that's the thing. They're going to have to try and work a match when neither of them are wrestlers.
Yeah. Well, they'll definitely do stuff with her and Triple H. Like, she'll beat up Triple H or something to make her look strong. But then, it's that thing of what you're going to do with Steph, because Steph is the only one that you can do, like, an actual match with, really. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be the greatest match. Certainly won't, like... she's still training and she's still doing all those moves, but I just don't feel that it's going to be as good as they're billing it to be.
Yeah, I think it's I don't think it's going to be a showstopper, but I think it'd be interesting. It doesn't need to be. Once you've got the Ronda Rousey's entrance at WrestleMania will be huge. Kurt Angle coming back at WrestleMania will be huge. You're going to have another bonkers Triple H and Stephanie entrance, which is always fun. So by the time you've done all of that, the actual match doesn't need to be massive. They could do an under 5-minute match and it'll pop the crowd and it'll still work as long as it's not booked over something else.
Right, what was the next segment on Raw?
Right, we got Nia Jax crying. That's what we're talking about. So she loses. She has another match with Asuka because why not? And she loses that one as well. This time loses clean. Better match than their pay-per-view match, I thought. Asuka gets her in the armbar. She does the old powerbomb escape, but Asuka hangs on, keeps doing it, bashing her into things. Asuka just hangs on until she manages to get it hyperextended, and then Nia eventually taps out. Really nice, kind of much more similar to their NXT match way back when, where she just wears her down by technical skill. What do you think, Ross? What do you think is going on with Nia?
Well, there's rumors that she might be trying to turn her face.
Mm-hmm.
But then I don't know where she's going to go from there, because is she going to go against Alexa? Because obviously Asuka's going, I assume, to fight Charlotte in SmackDown. So maybe they're billing her to be a face so that people can get behind her. But I just don't see her as a face. I think her character works better as a heel.
I think, but she's always had a bit of a sort of sympathetic thing to her. I've always seen her as having a little shred of that, and that's always been played on a bit with her relationship with Bliss.
Enzo.
And the Enzo stuff as well. I think they're going to Batista her. I think this is. I think Charlotte and Asuka is the match for WrestleMania, and then Alexa is going. Nia is going to get tired of being used by Alexa and turn on her, and Alexa and Nia will be the other women's title match for Mania, which is probably the biggest match that they can put together on Raw.
Yeah.
If they're doing Sasha and Bayley doing something else, I think Nia and Alexa with that storyline is pretty fun. I could see that working. What do you reckon, Vintage?
What, and then you have Asuka and Charlotte?
Asuka and Charlotte is the big women's match.
Yeah, and I guess it gives Asuka more women to wrestle if she goes to the SmackDown brand.
Yeah, she keeps it running, keeps her away from Ronda as well, so that they can keep that dream match. Down.
And then that's next WrestleMania's match, isn't it?
Yeah, probably. That's when they'll kill the streak.
But it's really strange what's going on with Nia, because it just feels like they've missed the boat with her. She never quite made it.
She needs to make it this time round, doesn't she? Because she's been stop-start a few times. She's had a few big pushes and it's never really come to anything. So she needs to do it this time. Otherwise, I don't see where it goes.
Yeah.
But she doesn't seem to be over either way, does she?
She's all right, but yeah, she's not mega over.
I'm just thinking the fans respond amazingly to her, you know?
I think you could make her a good babyface. I think she's got the talent to be a decent babyface.
Another point that Russo made was it seems like with women call-ups, they seem to be a favour of the month for 3 to 6 months, and then just move on to the next one. So it started off with Bailey. No, it started off with Sasha, and then it was Bailey's. Bailey was the flavour of the month, and then it was Nia, and now it's Ronda. Well, it was Asuka, and then it was Ronda.
Yeah.
Of women's call-ups, I'm trying to think of ones that have women's call-ups who have improved, like who have done better since being called up. Definitely Alexa.
Yeah.
Alexa's been. I'd say Carmella.
Well, until recently.
Yeah, she's faded a bit lately, but if you compare her to being from where she was effectively the manager for Enzo and Cass to where she is now, that's been, and in ring she's improved a great deal as well.
Well, apart from this week, she stopped being on TV, kind of, didn't she?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Seems like ever since Ellsworth left, it seems like it's just gone downhill for her.
I mean, she is the Seth Rollins of careers. She's what Seth Rollins is to injuries to careers. Enzo is now gone. Cass is now injured long term. Ellsworth is gone. You do not want to hang out with Carmella.
The briefcase might end up being a holiday or something.
So what else we had? We had a ridiculous Braun Strowman match. The Symphony of... what was it? Symphony of Terror? Symphony of Destruction.
Yeah, Destruction.
So I wouldn't have minded this anywhere near as much if I didn't predict it 2 weeks ago.
You did, didn't you?
Yeah.
You literally used a piano as a weapon, but not massively, because they couldn't gimmick it that much without it and still be able to play it. So he could just move it a bit, but that was all they did with it.
My favourite bit was when he ran in the back and he got in a car, Elias.
Yes.
And then he looked behind him and there was no one there. Or no, he was looking behind him. It was really weirdly shot. He looked behind him and he kind of took ages. And then Braun's like, I'm not done with you yet. And he's just holding up the back end of the car, which is really good. And he just pegged it, which was good.
I mean, I'm not the biggest Elias fan, but I warmed to him after that intro where he slags off Braun on every instrument and then asks for his proper entrance so they could turn the lights off and then just runs away.
that was really good, actually.
He's got, I will say this for Elias, he's got a very good worried face, which is a good thing for a heel to have, for a cowardly heel. He does that realizing he's made a mistake very well. So he still don't really know what he's doing for Mania at the moment. They're really behind him at the moment, but he doesn't seem to have a path to WrestleMania. So maybe he'll wrestle the Undertaker.
No, that's going to be these two, isn't it?
Oh, probably, yeah. That'll be why they're keeping Braun. Yeah, because Braun's not really going to be needed for anything else, is it? I guess he'll be all right. Do you want to say anything about? Do you want to say anything about the Mizzies? Since you're the big Miz fan, vintage.
All right.
It's just another Miz promo. There are a lot of Miz promos at the moment. He's very good, but
we could get oversaturated, much like with Alexa Bliss, I feel.
Yeah, a little bit. I think he's better used, occasionally. But if it's, I've never ever liked talk show segments. Going right back, I never liked the highlight reel. I never even liked Piper's Pit. It was interesting for a couple of bits, had a couple of good moments.
What about the barbershop?
The barbershop. What are some other ones? We could do it. This has to be a quiz sometime, is talk show segments from wrestling.
The Ambrose Asylum.
Brother Love had one.
The Ambrose. He did have one. Oh my god.
Brother Love.
Yeah, he did. What did he call it?
Love Shack.
Yeah.
Did The Rock have one as well?
Oh, almost certainly. I'm sure
probably.
everyone has. So many people have. There's been one just forever because it's just an easy way to fill time without doing another promo. And it's the worst I don't know why anyone... It's the same format as the heel comes out, does his thing, talks about how he's great, introduces his guest, who is the face, insults the face hits him, then they have a match. Like, it's the same every time. Why?
It's just coming up with a different name of the different wrestler, isn't it?
Yeah. Why do the baby faces even go on that show?
Can we talk about Cena and Goldust?
Yes, John Cena wrestled Goldust.
That was so weird.
He had a weird promo where he talked up how this is his only way to WrestleMania.
He just needed a win, didn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it have been hilarious if Goldust had gone over?
Went into business for himself.
if that's how Dustin Reynolds leaves the business, just shoots on John Cena. I would have loved that.
I hope he goes into the Hall of Fame, Goldust.
Yeah, he will do soon.
He's
one of these. I think they're kind of like... I think they've sort of got him where he's on one of these contracts where he doesn't have to do very much. And he's kind of handy to have around. So why not stick around and do a bit of stuff? And he'll be around in general anyway, because they're doing the Dusty Rhodes Classic on NXT. So he'll be coming out to give the award for that. So I guess he's on the road. I don't even know if he's officially retired.
No, I don't think
obviously
so.
not, but yeah, I think that R-Truth thing was kind of his last bit, wasn't it? His last kind of proper run. But it would be nice to see him come back a little bit. But then, we said that about Kane, and that was no fun for anybody. There is a very nice picture, if you can find it online, of The Undertaker and Kane at Kane's campaign offices in the Glenn Jacobs for Mayor campaign, where Taker dropped by just to lend some moral support. And it's just the two of them there, just sort of old men.
But Kane's in his mask. That's the weird thing.
In his suit.
In his suit and his mask. Yeah. Yeah, and his t-shirt, yeah. In his campaign office.
Yeah. And
so weird.
Taker looks a little bit embarrassed by it. Like, he always fucking does this.
Let me just put my mask on. Hold on.
So, yeah, then SmackDown happened. I don't really have any notes about SmackDown, other than the Fastlane main event happened.
Hang on a second.
Yeah.
Hang on. We're forgetting probably the most important segment from Raw.
Are we? What was that?
That was Matt Hardy confirming that we're getting Total Deletion 3.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Compound.
Is that at WrestleMania, or is that just going to be like next week?
WrestleMania, I think.
That'd
be nice.
So it's just going to be like a video segment, I guess, and
it'll be a weird one to put on a WrestleMania because...
Yeah, that's why I was thought. Like, a video segment in WrestleMania is weird.
Yeah.
If you're going to do... Because he... Yeah, go on.
No good for the pre-show, because it doesn't warm the crowd up, which is the point of the pre-show.
Yeah.
I don't see how you could do it in an arena that big. Like, there aren't enough screens to be able to show it. I could see it either happening on TV right before Mania or being like carried over to the next pay-per-view after Mania. I think it'd be really weird to have it on
yeah,
Mania.
Looking back, it doesn't actually say when it's going to happen.
Yeah.
I reckon they'll do something where he'll go to the compound, in like next week, and then they'll have another match at WrestleMania where they have some projections of like Matt Hardy's face spinning around on the canvas.
To be fair,
and it'll be a 10-hour loop of just him going, yes!
To be fair though, Spoonie, House of Horrors was the best and worst thing you saw last year.
Yep.
And it's be the best and worst thing you see this year.
Yeah, but at Mania? Would they? You know what You know what they are ridiculous enough to do at Mania? They are ridiculous enough to have them start the fight at the Hardy compound and then get in cars and drive to Mania, even though they're in different states.
and then Matt should follow him with the drone as well.
Yeah.
It could be really good. There is absolutely nothing in this feud so far that gives me any hope that it will be any good, but Final Deletion was great.
Yeah.
So it could. And if they've given Matt creative on it, could be really good. Reckon Jeff might return?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah. I'm not sure. I'm not still convinced that if he returned, he would join with the broken gimmick. I reckon they might bring him back as just Extreme Jeff and pick up his sort of 2009 singles run and try and redo some of that because they like their singles wrestlers. I'm not sure. I don't know.
Yeah.
God, it's sad how uninterested we are in that. We literally forgot about Matt Hardy segment.
SmackDown.
How the mighty have fallen. SmackDown. Everyone had a match, so we basically have seen the main event of Fastlane a week early.
I hate that. I hate that they do that. I know that they're trying to build by showing you a preview of it, but it just frustrates me. It's like, I don't want to see this match yet. Stop showing me this.
Yeah, it was
annoying.
It was so. Ziggler and Corbin are both heels again. Their face turns lasted for about a week, and now they're slagging off the crowd.
But his record scratch comes at the start of his music now, which doesn't make sense. Are you putting the record on? Like there was nothing on before, so it just sounds really weird now.
It is such a mess, isn't it? Oh, Dolph Ziggler's the end of Dolph Ziggler's career is such a confused mess. When you think of how awesome his early career was, I just don't understand it. What else happened on SmackDown?
Carmella wrestled a match.
Carmella did wrestle a match. Carmella is still employed by the company, it seems.
And she remembered the briefcase.
She did. Not that she can do anything with it.
Bobby Roode watched. Bobby Roode came out and interrupted Charlotte and the Riot Squad.
That was weird.
Yeah. It was really weird. I was like, why is... What? That's really weird. And then nothing happened. Nothing happened.
The reason was that the promo ran over and the producer sent out Bobby to try and show...
Yeah, it must be.
Yeah.
They have been doing this more where they've been having like crossovers. They've had people coming down, interrupting the end of segments to come down and start their match so they can just kind of look at each other and tease something.
That's mainly the Bludgeon Brothers gimmick, isn't it?
Yeah, that seems to be Bludgeon Brothers doing it a lot.
The commentators are like, oh yeah, Bobby's really good friends with Charlotte coming to her aid. Like, what did he do apart from just walk down?
Yeah, he's good because they're teamed up in the mixed match challenge. I think because they both have. It's because they both wear feathers. That's what they've got in common.
Yeah.
They both have robes. So it's because you know that Bobby is only hanging out with Charlotte so that he can meet her dad sometime.
Yeah.
He's the most obvious Flair fan.
Speaking of the best tag team currently in the world, the Bludgeon Brothers weren't actually on TV.
No, weren't even on the show, which is
didn't even have a segment, did they?
They didn't even have a squash match.
No.
It's
I hate it so much. All that wasted TV time.
I don't know what they're going to be at Mania.
Do you hate it more that it's probably going to be the Usos versus the Bludgeon Brothers at WrestleMania?
Well, that all depends on predictions, surely.
I
think it's going to happen.
This is a long shot, and I've not been good on predictions lately, but I reckon that the Usos could get a good match out of the Bludgeon Brothers. Because Luke Harper is actually very good.
Yeah.
It's a so gimmick, but if you can imagine a match with the Usos trying to chop down one of the giant Bludgeon Brothers, just kind of super kick. I reckon so long as the Bludgeon Brothers don't go over.
Stop it! You're killing me.
Oh dear.
Shall we have a quiz?
Yeah, let's do a quiz.
Let's do a quiz.
Okay. I'm assuming we'll do predictions afterwards. Is there anything else you want to say about SmackDown?
No, it was boring.
It was pretty crap.
Considering it was a go-home show, it was very disappointing, really, wasn't it? Okay, so we've got Fastlane coming up. We've got Mania on the horizon. So it only makes sense that we talk about the Intercontinental Championship.
Of course.
Right. The current IC champion is The Miz, who has a total of how many reigns?
8. One less than Chris Jericho. What do you reckon?
Yeah, 8.
I'm quite worried you know that, because it might mean that this quiz is super easy for you, Spoon.
I don't know. They've been announcing. They announce it a lot. It's part of his gimmick, basically, now.
Okay.
But we'll see.
So does Jeff Jarrett have more or less reigns than The Miz?
Nice. I like that. Well, obviously he has less.
Ross?
Less.
Correct. Jeff Jarrett does have less. So, the thing is, I don't want to tell you how many Jeff Jarrett's had, because it might make it too easy for you.
It makes the next one easier, so we have to go back over them at the end.
Yeah. So, does Dolph Ziggler have more or less title reigns than Jeff Jarrett?
Jeff Jarrett,
I think he has fewer title reigns than Jeff Jarrett.
He does have fewer title reigns.
Yes.
So you can see now, Ross, why I couldn't send this to your messenger, because the thing is, I can't send you this without you seeing the next one down the list. Okay, so we're now talking about Dolph Ziggler, and now does Razor Ramon have more or less title reigns than Dolph Ziggler?
Bad guy. More.
You're saying Razor Ramon has more title reigns, IC title reigns than Dolph Ziggler?
They didn't have as many title reigns back then in general, but he was in the IC picture for most of his career. I think at WWE, and I don't think Dolph has had that many. I think Dolph's one of these people you think has held the IC belt loads, but hasn't.
Yeah, more.
You're both wrong. He's had less than Dolph Ziggler.
Oh wow! Okay, fair enough.
So, has Triple H had more or less IC runs than Razor Ramon?
More or less, it's got to be more than if that was. We're getting to the basement now.
Yeah, more.
He has had more.
Okay,
but just to help you out, Razor Ramon actually had 4 title reigns.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, Ziggler had more than I thought. Okay.
So we're now talking about Triple H.
Yeah.
Did his best pal, Shawn Michaels, have more or less title runs with the IC belt than him?
More.
Fewer. I think he. I don't think he held the IC belt very much. It was only during his sexy boy era.
Yep, Spoonie, you're right. It seems like this is your week.
Finally.
Okay.
You're 2 ahead of me.
Oh, I'm glad you're keeping score. We never keep score on these things. All right. Okay. Did Edge have more or less than Shawn Michaels?
Edge more or less than Shawn Michaels. More.
Less. I'm just going to go for the opposite.
Spoonie's right again.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So, another show favourite, another Vintage Spoon show favourite. We're now on to Gold Dust.
Oi.
Did Gold Dust have more or less title runs than Edge?
Fewer. Nobody had more title reigns than Edge. Edge is the best.
More.
Gold Dust had less title runs than
Edge.
Okay, we're about halfway. How are we feeling about this?
Feeling good. This is a good quiz. Yeah. I mean, I would say that because it's the only one I've been winning.
We might have to cut it short.
Who's going to win the predictions? Come on, let me have this.
Okay, so Gold Dust did have fewer than Edge.
Okay.
Spoonie, one of your favourites, Mr. Perfect. Did he have more or less title runs than Gold Dust with the IC belt?
He had fewer title runs than Gold Dust.
More.
Didn't have many.
Spoonie's right again.
Perfect didn't hold it many times. He held it for a long time, but he didn't. Yeah, he didn't hold it for many times.
You're right. And the thing is, I just picked out all of Spoonie's favourite wrestlers here because we're now talking about John Morrison.
Morrison? Well, it would be more but I don't know, but not by much.
You're right. It was more, but not by much.
Nice.
Okay. Brother Nero, Jeff Hardy.
Jeff Hardy.
More or less than John Morrison?
I think more. I think he's had a bunch scattered all throughout his career.
Yeah, I'll go with more.
Yeah, that's right. Well done, Ross. You started taking the same answers as Spoon.
That's the way to go.
Okay. Wade Barrett.
Less.
Than Jeff Hardy?
Then Jeff Hardy.
Less.
More.
Really?
What?
Yes.
Huh.
Yeah. Yeah. I think what I'll do is I'll either run through the numbers afterwards or I'll just post it in the chat.
Yeah.
Okay. Bret Hart.
Bret Hart than Wade.
More or less than Wade Barrett.
Oh, less. He didn't have very many at all.
Less. Yeah.
Yep, you're both right. The Mountie.
The Mountie, I know it's less, and I know exactly how many. So, and
Less.
how many days he held it for.
Why?
Because I happen to know that. But I'm not going to say it now because I don't want to. I don't want to give it away to Ross.
Oh, what? With your 5-point lead?
Yeah, I don't want to give you too much. He held it for like. He held it for. It was for a matter of day. I think it was less than a day. He picked it up at a house show from Bret Hart, and then lost it to Roddy Piper like the next night at the Royal Rumble, and it was purely because they wanted to have Piper versus Bret, and they didn't want to give it away early. They wanted to put the belt on a heel,
a transitional champion.
Yeah, so they didn't want to have Piper and Bret at that stage, so they had him beat the Mountie.
Okay. From the Mountie to Jake the Snake Roberts.
Jake the Snake Roberts. Less.
What? Did you say less?
I said less.
More. I'm going to say more. Why not?
You know it.
More. Go on. Yeah.
Say it.
Spoonie's right.
Yes, he is. Jake Roberts never held a championship. It's one of the great Jake Roberts facts.
All right, so I wonder if Santino Marella had more or less than Jake the Snake Roberts with the IC belt.
I think maybe he had more.
Yeah, I'll go more. Yeah.
Unless it's the same.
No trick questions. You're right. He had more.
If anyone could have minus numbers of title reigns, it would be Santino Marella.
Okay, Santino Marella to Roddy Piper.
Ooh.
Less.
More.
Spoonie's right again.
Oh, yes.
From Roddy Piper to Matt Hardy.
Ooh. I'm going to take a punt at more. I think
less.
I think they must have taken. He may never have held it, but I have a feeling he might have taken it off Jeff at some point during one of their many feuds.
Less.
You're right, Ross. It was less. So, for what I forgot to say is that the last one was worth 2,000 points.
What?
So Ross actually wins again, unfortunately.
Yes!
I cannot believe this.
Yes!
Okay, do you want to run down the list, or do you want to just post?
Yes, me. Yeah, run the list. Let's hear it.
Right. Miz 8, Jeff Jarrett 6, Dolph Ziggler 5, Razor Ramon 4, Triple H 5, Shawn Michaels 3, Edge 5, Goldust 3, Mr. Perfect 2, John Morrison 3, Jeff Hardy 4, Wade Barrett 5.
Wow. They tried that around a bit.
Bret Hart 2.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The Mountie 1. Jake the Snake 0. Santino Marella 2. Piper 1. And Matt Hardy 0.
Nice.
Go on then, how do you know so many, Spoon?
I love the IC title, and a lot of those are from early '90s, which is my favorite era of wrestling. And the IC belt was the most interesting belt at that time because you had Bret, you had Shawn, you had Piper,
and I did pick a lot of your favorite wrestlers as well, with Mr. Perfect, John Morrison, and Mr. Perfect. Yeah.
Awfully, I'm not sure I know how many times X-Pac held the Intercontinental title. I think it was none, but
I think it's 0. I can't remember seeing his name when I was going
he
through
held
his...
the European title a bunch of times, but that's not what this is about. Good quiz. What this is about now is predictions for Fastlane. The most exciting pay-per-view of the entire year. It's the
It's
pay-per-view
after the Fastlane.
who can forget all the exciting things that have happened at Fastlane pay-per-views? Remember, there was that time that Roman Reigns beat Daniel Bryan for the #1 contendership, and everyone booed, even though Roman actually got counted out in that match, and the ref had to stop his count so that Roman could make it back into the ring and not throw out the entire WrestleMania main event because Roman forgot what was going on. There was the time that John Cena had an I Quit match with Batista and made Batista say I quit by threatening to throw him off a car, and then threw him off a car anyway, even though the match was over, because John Cena is a heel.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I remember one of those lists where it was like the top 10 things John Cena did, which were quite heelish.
I think that was a Fastlane. There were cars there. I assume that's Fastlane. They might have been like Mr. Car, the pay-per-view or something. They've had a lot. So we're going to rattle through our Fastlane predictions. They're incredibly exciting. We're incredibly excited about most of the things on this card. It's
so excited we're drinking tea.
Oh, yeah. Car tea. So you say this isn't an evening recording. Cups of tea before bed. Right, let's talk about the matches. Just to remind you, last time out, I scored basically nothing. I got 1 point right, and that's only because everyone knew Roman was going to win. Basically, I got everything wrong. Ross got everything right. Vintage was in the middle. We'll see who's in the middle this time. So the first...
the prediction sandwich.
Who will be the Gangrel of this predictions. So the first match on the card, maybe, we don't know the order. First match, we're going to talk about Becky Lynch and Naomi versus Carmella and Natalya. I didn't even know this match was on the card until Ross sent me the list.
Well, it was announced on SmackDown this week, yeah.
Yeah.
It's been...
I don't know. They might put it to the pre-show, but yeah.
They haven't done as much on the pre-show. The announced matches haven't tended to be on the pre-show lately. They're doing less with the pre-show. Maybe they've realised it doesn't help sell the network so much, or I'm not sure. So let's start with Ross. Who have you got and why?
Becky Lynch and Naomi. I mean, to me, it's been a really boring feud. These guys. Just like girls bickering about their Twitters and how many friends they have, and I don't think anyone's really invested. I just don't think they know what to do with those four at the moment. It's nice to see Carmella, back on TV, but I'm not really behind this feud at all, really.
Yeah, it's super exciting. Vintage, what do you reckon?
I'm wondering if we're just really old in the fact that we don't get excited about Twitter feuds or matches being announced on Twitter.
God, I hope not. I hope everyone's just bored by this.
It's the kids that are wrong.
Who's winning the match?
It's a nothing match, so its face is over.
Yeah, Becky Lynch and Naomi.
Yeah.
So 2 for Becky and Naomi. I'm going to swerve it. I think it's going to be Carmella and Natalya, purely because it's a nothing match. Becky beat Carmella on SmackDown this week, so 50-50 booking says Carmella gets the win back over Becky at the pay-per-view. They're not going to cash in anytime soon, so might as well do something with Carmella. I don't care, though. So, next match. The very exciting Shinsuke Nakamura, the #1 contender and winner of the Royal Rumble, versus Rusev, who is still a heel. Apparently still a heel. Don't listen to those fans.
Much like Roman Reigns is the most popular wrestler.
Yep. He's Vintage. Who have you got?
Well, it's Nakamura, isn't it?
Yes. I mean, maybe they crush the number one contender. Maybe
it's a placeholder, isn't it, until Mania?
Yeah,
Yeah.
You don't know that. Maybe what's going to happen is Cena is going to win. Cena's going to win the world title match,
and then we get Cena versus Rusev again.
Cena versus Rusev at for the. Oh God, I don't know.
Pick up the pace.
Maybe Cena will lose and get made number one contender anyway, and then Shinsuke's going to get injured fighting Rusev. Cena will have to step in, and then he gets his match. No, it's Shinsuke. This is ridiculous. Yeah. You don't pin the number one contender the month before the event. It's Nakamura. Ross?
Yeah, Nakamura.
Cool.
For all the same reasons. The reason that he wants to fight him is so ridiculous on SmackDown. You hurt my friend's throat, so now I'm gonna fight you.
So Canadian English not sing now?
No, he was about to, and then he's like, oh.
Wow. So the thing that is over about that group.
Yeah. So basically, probably Vince has seen how popular it is, and he's gone, no, I don't want any more singing Rusev Day anymore. So we're gonna kick him in the throat, and he's not gonna be able to do it now forever.
Oh my God.
Stick him in that room where we put Ty Dillinger.
Yeah.
Poor Ty. He's still sitting in that little room.
Oh, shout out to Nick as well.
Hey Nick. When people forget, shout out to our 19 listeners, who we know from the stats they're not still listening by this point in the show. We should say that at the beginning. They're there for those sweet
I think
intros.
9 of them's me as well, by the
way. Probably. Right, moving on. US title match. Bobby Roode versus Randall Keith Orton. And not Jinder Mahal. For some reason, even though Jinder's in this feud, he's not involved in the match. So obviously he's not going to turn up on the night. He's just going to stay home, let them get on with it.
This is face versus face as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So stupid.
It doesn't make any sense to me. I think Randy Orton is going to win, but I think it's going to be by disqualification. I don't think he'll get the belt. I think Jinder is going to jump into the match, throw it in some way. Orton's going to win by DQ, and then there'll be a triple threat at Mania, because Raw is having a triple threat for the Intercontinental title match at Mania, and so SmackDown booking says they have to do exactly the same thing with their equivalent title, because that's how SmackDown is booked. Vintage, what do you reckon?
Yeah, so I was thinking they might make a triple threat on the night, but I think what you said makes more sense that it will happen at WrestleMania. So maybe a no contest rather than DQ, but they wouldn't do a no contest at a pay-per-view, would they? Maybe. Okay, let's go Bobby Roode.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Bobby Roode. And Ross, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I'm going to say Bobby Roode.
Yeah?
I mean, I just don't see... Yeah, Randy doesn't need to win.
Which means he's going to then.
Yeah, which is true, yeah. And it's definitely going to be a triple threat at WrestleMania, so I think you've got a good shout, though, Dan, about it being a disqualification, but we'll see. It'll be a stupid thing on a pay-per-view to have a disqualification, but, whatever. A good old-fashioned
no contest. I think that's what we need. Get someone disqualified for throwing someone over the top rope. That's 80s style. So then we have the SmackDown Tag Team Championship. Definitely not just a rerun to give us a good match on the card. The Usos versus The New Day. Vintage, who have you got and why?
2016 is what I've got. So I think New Day are winning the belts.
Yeah?
Yeah. Because the rest of the card's quite predictable, and none of the other titles are changing hands, so I can see this one changing hands. And then you get Bludgeon Brothers versus New Day, I guess, at Mania.
Yeah. Okay. What do you reckon, Russ?
I think the Usos. I hope it will be the match of the night. But we have seen it before. Let's hope they, pull out all the stops on it. I think they'll retain so that at WrestleMania that they have either Usos versus the Bludgeon Brothers, or it would be a triple threat tag match with New Day and Bludgeon Brothers. But I know that everyone else doesn't really want to see the Bludgeon Brothers anyway because they're awful. But yeah.
Hey man, that's like the best team on SmackDown right now. I can't believe they weren't on SmackDown last week. It's just the biggest crime known to man.
Yeah, everyone's. Maybe they'll just completely bypass the tag title picture, and just go straight into Fashion Files. They won't even bother giving them the little peek before they bury it. They'll just be there with everyone else.
What I'm hoping is that a couple of weeks ago, when they broke that TV, that was actually a shoot, and they've been suspended for like 30 days for it.
Oh, I hope so. I don't know. I think my gut says that the New Day are big stars to go in, but they could probably do something else with them. Usos. Why not? I like the Usos. They won the last feud. They've been pretty much the standard bearers for the last year, so it makes sense for them to be the ones taking the belts into Mania. I think a feud between them and the Bludgeon Brothers probably pops a little bit more than New Day versus Bludgeon Brothers. I don't think that mix of comedy and menace works so much. I think Usos would sell it more seriously.
I can see New Day and Bludgeon Brothers at WrestleMania, and Bludgeon Brothers getting the belts though to get them over.
Yeah, I guess it does do it, doesn't it?
And then it moves not quite nice into an Usos feud.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, I could see some of them going over to Raw because Raw needs teams right now. So I could see them moving.
Yes. While Sheamus has this horrible neck injury that stops him wrestling.
Yeah, and while everyone else has that horrible Seth Rollins problem, as he turns up and injures everyone by his presence.
Hey, let me get that door for you. Oh my goodness.
Oh God, I'm so sorry.
Oh, I broke your neck. Sorry about that.
If you get a Christmas card from Seth Rollins, run.
The postman's already dead.
I'm gonna roll the dice and just say I'm gonna roll the dice and say Usos. Let's wait and see, but I don't know for sure really. Charlotte versus Ruby Riott for the Women's Championship. Vintage, who have you got and why?
Well, cat's out of the bag already because I said none of the other titles are changing hands because this is just, I don't know what this is. It's just, what is this?
Ruby Riott. She's tough. She's an NXT call-up.
She's not Paige.
Yeah, she's not Paige. I'm so confused by the Ruby Riott call-up. There are so many. I think, first of all, they've done a decent job with. I think Ruby Riott's a good worker. I think Riott Squad have done everything they need to do. I've said I'm a huge fan of Sarah Logan. I think she's great as an in-ring worker, and I think Ruby Riott has an intro. I like her finisher. But like there was weird things like she left NXT by being buried by Sonya Deville. Like she was just murdered by Sonya Deville to leave, and then she comes in and she's a heel and meant to be a mega threat. And I know it's not all meant to be sort of canon NXT and main roster, but it's still never quite. I've still never bought her as a big threat. And it's Charlotte. Charlotte's not. We're not getting Asuka versus Ruby Riott at WrestleMania. Let's be honest. No one's buying tickets to see that. It's Charlotte's going to retain. Simple as Ross.
Yeah, Charlotte's going to retain. They're definitely not going to give a belt to someone who is only I don't know how long she's been. How long she been on the roster now? Ruby
When
Riott?
did Paige debut?
Yeah. It's been like 6 months or so. It's not been very long.
They won't give her the belt anyway. So yeah, Charlotte.
Cool. Which brings us to our main event for the World Championship, the World Wrestling, the WWE Championship. No, it's not called World Wrestling anything anymore, is it? WWE Championship match. AJ Styles.
The Jinder Mahal belt.
Yes, the Jinder Mahal Memorial title in memory of his career. In memory of Samir Singh, who might be dead.
Who's not with us anymore.
Not sure. AJ Styles versus Baron Corbin versus John Cena versus Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens versus Dolph Ziggler versus Bushwhacker Luke versus Howard Finkel versus the entire
Carmella's
briefcase, Kevin Dunn,
a third iteration of Absolution.
Our patience, everybody in the ring for one big party, because why come up with storylines for other people when you can just put them all in the ring together? And
when you can take a leaf out of the women's division booking.
Yep. It is. Wow. This feud is so.
Is it a feud? What is it?
I don't know. It's just people doing
mini
things.
feuds in the whole of the feud itself, which doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, you've sort of you've got Dolph and Corbin who would just seem angry at everyone, but mostly at Sammy and KO. KO and Sammy who are sort of angry at each other.
Yeah.
And there was
John Cena who wants his WrestleMania match.
John Cena, but has at no point spoken to any of them other than Styles. It's a bit like when he showed up at Survivor Series. He's got no stake in the match. Well, he's not built up for it.
That's the thing. You remind one thing I was going to say earlier on an earlier podcast when we were talking about Ronda Rousey and Steph and Triple H, and the annoying thing that they're running this authority angle again, because going all the way back to Survivor Series when they could have built up the new stars, it was Triple H putting himself over just so he can always have this role where he can step in and be the guy that saves a storyline or gets people over.
So I reckon this thing's just going to kind of grind along until people are confused, and then the Undertaker will come out, chokeslam John Cena, sort of do a little shrug to camera, and then it'll just play some music and go off air.
To be fair, that would really save this match if you had Undertaker come out and chokeslam John Cena.
Yeah, I think that would be what made everyone happy.
And then Dolph Ziggler and Baron Corbin go off and get married.
Yep. And Corbin hits the end of days on the Undertaker, puts him on top of AJ Styles and pins both of them. And then loses the belt on his next flight in baggage reclaim.
I'll go first. So I don't think AJ's dropping the belt, and I think the real story here is obviously the Cammy breakup, and that's going to be how AJ retains, because that explodes, and that's their story going to WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Well, but weirdly, it looks like they're going to do it with Sammy as the heel and KO as the face.
I think that's really interesting. Well, there was an interesting thing. Early on in the feud, I said it's going to be Sammy that betrays him because Kevin started referring to Sammy as his best friend, and it's been Kevin who's been pushing the best friend thing. It's been Kevin who's been playing the sort of the Jericho or the Sammy role of the slightly naive friend throughout this whole thing. So I could absolutely see Sammy betraying Kevin and then having a rerun of this. Because all of these great feuds are where the heel is 100% justified in everything they've done.
And KO's not been a face, has he?
He hasn't, and I reckon he could work it for a little while. I think it could be quite funny, especially where you've got this kind of tweener thing. I think he could be really. I think he could be really good. I think he could, if you transferred him to Raw. I think a face Kevin could be a brilliant foil for Roman. But because he's getting cheered, whatever. Let's be honest, people love KO, but It's going to be Styles. It's right before WrestleMania. You don't change your horses around too much before WrestleMania.
Although it would be funny if he did drop the belt and Nakamura still wants his match with AJ anyway. I could see that happening. I could see the belt going, and then that's what everyone's talking about. They're saying, "Hang on, we was promised this match, and we still get the match, but without the title, and that's the swerve."
The worst thing would be if John Cena won the belt and then, as a magnanimous gesture, let the defeated AJ Styles come in a triple threat match at WrestleMania just because he's such a nice guy. It would be just the worst. I just hope that they have locked down somebody for John Cena to wrestle at Mania. It is probably The Undertaker. It might be Rey Mysterio, we've heard. I hope they have got this sorted, because if John Cena takes that title, especially if he breaks Ric Flair's record on flipping Fastlane.
Yeah.
Oh.
Or Cena Lane, as it will be redubbed.
Cena Lane. Well, and Ross, you're going Corbin.
Yeah,
and that's
Corbin, yeah.
Cool. Well, that's our show. Thanks for tuning in.
I'm going to go AJ Styles, because why would anyone want to watch at WrestleMania Baron Corbin versus Shinsuke Nakamura?
Hey, a lot of Corbin fans listen to this podcast, I'll have you know.
John Cena will do his thing where he's like, "Oh, I've lost again." But there's no one out there that can, blah 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 blah, and then Undertaker either come out or Rey Mysterio come out and then set up for that feud for WrestleMania, and then I think they'll do the Sami KO match, which would be good. And then the only other person who doesn't get anything out of it is probably Dolph and Baron Corbin.
Maybe we'll get Baron Corbin and Cena in their rematch.
Ooh, that'd be a tasty biscuit.
Do you remember their last match?
No.
Where...
Oh wait, yeah, he's seen it. Yeah, Cena buried him.
Yep, just after he had the failed cash-in.
Cena was
I remember that.
Cena was dropping out of character and just laughing and making jokes with people at ringside while he was just destroying this kid's career.
Yep.
And people still didn't get behind Corbin.
I'm just so annoyed about Fastlane. It's the most I don't think I'm going to be shocked, because this is the most predictable pay-per-view that I've watched this year, I think. The most. And it feels like most of the matches are just matches that they just cobbled together just to make a pay-per-view out of it, which is really bad. Really bad.
Well, that's the thing. When I was thinking about the tag match, I thought back to something that Spoonie said on a previous pay-per-view where there was a swerve booking because Vince had decided that it was all too predictable and he had to swerve it for the bookies.
Yeah, that can happen sometimes, but
I just don't see it happening really close to WrestleMania, title changes and stuff.
If you're not excited about Shinsuke AJ, look up Shinsuke Nakamura AJ Styles GIF and find the one from their New Japan where Shinsuke eats the imaginary bullet from AJ's bullet.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that, yeah.
Which is just hilarious. So we will see. So yeah, Fastlane. It's going to be great. We can't wait. It's going to be really exciting. I don't know, but maybe they'll send Braun Strowman out to power slam everyone through tables after every match, and that'll keep us going. But we'll see. We'll come back next week. We'll see how we did. We'll compare our notes. We'll talk about the Cruiserweight tag team titles, which are probably coming because we didn't get around to talking about that this week. And I know that's an exciting topic. Are we going to watch 205? We'll find out. Gentlemen, anything left to add?
Nope. Looking forward to WrestleMania.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to WrestleMania. Well, this has been a dynamic sign-off to send us to a dynamic pay-per-view. Please give us a like. Please share the video with people if you are enjoying this. We will see you next week. Yeah, Fastlane! Woo!
Woo!
Yeah!
Oh, yeah! Bye! Bye!